trial attorney Misty Marris, defense attorney Arthur Illah, jury consultant Susan Constantine. Thank you each and all. Susan, I start with you, asking what is a reasonable person? Am I right about what that could be suggestive of in terms of the state of play in the jury room?
Yeah, so, those jurors that are in there deliberating, they're thinking, what would you do? Okay, what would be reasonable under that situation? Because most of them are traveling on that same train every single day. So what's happening behind closed doors is there certainly is a split. There's no doubt. We've got one extreme that guilty, right, for manslaughter. And then you've got others that are on the complete far right versus left. So now what's happening, I don't know, I would think that the jurors be a little bit confused because I've never seen this happen before. Now they've got to go back and then have to go and re-deliberate again. And hopefully they can either come to a compromise or we're just going to have a hung jury again.
Arthur, you and I have talked about this a lot. What do you make of the suggestion of this is bad for Penny, man? This judge is basically telling them that this is come back and try it again on this, and they're throwing out the other charge, and this guy should be walking away. He did what we want people to do. He got involved with a bad guy. The two other guys were there. They didn't seem upset by what Penny was doing. Why would it be reasonable for him to see otherwise? This is a bad day for Penny.
I'm going to look at the glass half full. When they ask for the reasonableness, it goes to the two-part test of regarding self-defense. And that comes out of the Bernie Getz case. Would a reasonable person, number one, does Penny feel threatened in that situation, so he's entitled to self-defense? And then the second part is, would a reasonable person in that situation feel threatened and can act in self-defense? So they're struggling with the self-defense. And here, Chris, is why I'm going to look at the glass half full. If they're struggling with self-defense on manslaughter in the second degree, it also applies to criminally negligent homicide. And they were told if you can't agree on manslaughter, you're not allowed to look at criminally negligent homicide. The prosecutor took the unique, it's never happened before that we can find in the record books, saying, Judge, it's okay, you could dismiss the top count. Because they're dismissing it and he's allowing it, there is no appeal to that. Now Penny goes from a maximum of 15 years to a maximum of 4. So he could go to bed tonight knowing he's probably not going to jail at all. And now those jurors are going to come back on Monday. And if there are still some jurors who believe he believed there was a fear and a reasonable person was in fear of their lives or someone else's life, he acted appropriately, it could still be a hung jury.
Misty, make a smarter point.
Well, truthfully, Chris, Arthur's spot on, and I do think that the jury is grappling with that justification defense by virtue of that question regarding the reasonable person test, and that would apply. So it's not going to matter whether it's manslaughter or criminally negligent homicide. If that's what's creating the deadlock, then the deadlock will exist for criminally negligent homicide too. But the reason that the defense was adamant and asking for a mistrial when the deadlock occurred as opposed to dismissal of the charge, and the reason the defense objected is because it's teeing up the case for a potential compromise verdict. And a compromise verdict is when jurors who believe the case should be one way and should be decided one way compromise their convictions because they want to reach an agreement. And that's why the defense was saying, well, now you're putting criminally negligent homicide, a lesser included offense, in front of this jury. Well, that's going to be something that could lead to a conviction where it otherwise might not have. And that's why we saw that argument on the record today.
Arthur, this idea that, prosecutors, they got to bring the case. No one's above the law. You always got to bring the case. To me, this is proof of, no, there's prosecutorial discretion. I don't know why they charged him with manslaughter, too, in the first place. But, you saw that they just walked away from their own charge. And the concern that if Penny is convicted, even if he's not going to go to prison, why would I ever want to get involved in a situation like this? So what kind of message is it sending?
And that's why I'm rooting for an acquittal. I was in the courthouse today. I went up there. I saw the defense team. I shook Mr. Penny's hand. I told him we're rooting for you because I ride the subway on a very regular basis. And there are nut jobs on a very regular basis. And, I'm not the guy who's going to go tackling somebody. I'm the one who's going to go run in between cars and hide. Okay, big shot, take it easy. But Penny, look, clearly he had no intent intent to kill this guy. It's about carelessness when it comes to criminally negligent homicide. And I think he puts his head on the pillow tonight knowing he's not going to go to prison. However, Chris, to your point, the message that gets sent out there is just use your phone, stay out of it, take a video, and then later, after the damage is done, give it to the cops and it'll be their problem and you don't have to worry about being indicted by Manhattan, the Manhattan DA's office.
Susan, Ms. Constantine, last word to you. In the minds of jurors, the balancing of this is what you do and it doesn't mean you're trying to kill somebody versus, well, I would never do that to somebody and it looks like obviously it would kill them. Those are two different mindsets of people with two different types of life experience. Which one do you think is heavier influence here?
I think that most people are going to weigh on the fact that he acted appropriately. That's where I think the majority is landing right now. And we've only got one or maybe two strongholds, and they're very, very strong, and they're not going to budge. And that's why I think we're going to end up with what? Another hung jury.
Hey, I appreciate you each and all. Thank you very much. And the people at home should know, these are the people that I call when I need to know what to say on TV. And then often I cut them out so that I seem like I know it all. But not tonight. So thank you to each and all of you. I'll talk soon. It's funny because it's true.